I thought I'd just share this metaphor with you because I'm sitting by the sea. And you might have heard this before, but nothing comes alive until you bring it alive. So any metaphor will just stay flat on the page, you know, or it won't. It's like I can throw it out there, and then unless you pick it up and breathe life into it, it won't make any difference. It won't mean anything. Often it's when you reflect and maybe, I don't know, you're just sitting on the bus or something and you just reflect and it comes alive and you're like, oh, that makes sense. Oh, I feel that now. It's about feeling it rather than understanding it. That's the difference. I'm looking for a feeling. An understanding changes nothing. Nothing at all. It's feeling the depth of this. Because ultimately, what I'm asking you is to kind of see beyond everything you thought you knew. That's what this feels like. Everything that I thought I knew about Kate, about life, has fallen away. And there is this blank canvas of possibility, and it just feels so much lighter. It feels like it doesn't mean that there's not going to be some crap. It doesn't mean there's not going to be difficulties in your life. You know, it doesn't mean that there's not going to be turbulent times, and there's going to be, but ultimately there's this sense of knowing that you have everything you need to deal with whatever life brings your way. Now, I never knew that, so I would worry about getting ill. I would worry about, you know, what happens if I get cancer or something, or if I get ill, and, you know, how would anyone cope, or I just would worry about life. What happens if, you know, something happens to someone I love, or what happens if, and that just kind of, these things, life is going to happen, life is going to keep happening, but it doesn't feel like it's happening to me. It feels like it's just happening, and I can respond to life. And there's always this quiet space of knowing that knows how to deal with it. And so this metaphor around the sea, because I'm sitting next to the sea. Oh, and there's some people who just arrived. But this metaphor around the sea is about the waves on the surface. And they're coming to sit right next to me. That might slightly ruin my metaphor. No, I'm going to carry on. Okay, so let's come back. The waves on the surface. I'm looking at the waves on the surface. And these people, that can be like my thinking, just in the background. Let your thinking be there. See, it can just chatter away in the background. You're not that. I'm not that. Sometimes it can be distracting. It's okay, just let it be there. And then you look at the waves on the surface, the waves of your experience. And it's funny because sometimes they get really rough. Sometimes we judge them. Sometimes we say, you know, I don't like the waves. Sometimes we're like, you know, my wave isn't good enough. My wave isn't big enough. My wave's too small. We compare. You know, that famous quote, comparison, the thief of joy. That's true. But I used to live up in the waves. You know, and that was okay. You know, sometimes that is okay. I didn't know anything different. But I never knew, you know, that when I was up in the waves of my experience and when it got turbulent and I was getting thrown around in those waves, I never knew that there was a calm space. Never knew that. I never knew that when you sink below the waves, you sit on the belly of the ocean, is this quiet space. And it's not separate. You know, the entirety of the ocean, it's not separate from the waves. You can't separate the waves from the ocean. It wouldn't make sense. It's like you don't separate the clouds from the sky. You know, this is why people use these metaphors. The clouds, the temporary expressions of your thinking, the sky, constant. The waves, temporary expressions of your thinking, your experience. But the ocean itself, it's not damaged by the waves. It's not damaged by what's going on the surface. You know, the ocean just is, all of it. But the waves are part of the ocean, you know, our experience and our, you know, it's all expressions, our experience, our thinking, our life experience, our humanity, you know, it's like when, I think it's Eckhart Tolle talked about, you know, the human being. We have this human experience and we're up in the waves and we're living our lives, and the waves can get turbulent and sometimes they can be calmer and sometimes they're rough. But if we know about the depth of the ocean, the being, the human being, then it opens up this whole side to us that I never knew about. This whole depth, you know, this space within us, which never leaves us because it is us. The ocean doesn't leave the waves. It's all the same. And I think you have to bring that alive for yourself to understand, or to not to understand, that's the wrong word, to feel the meaning, to feel. Because what I'm talking about is right now, in this moment, you can, when everything is suspended, you're thinking about the future, you're thinking about the past, your worries, your negative stuff, your heavy stuff, your identity, your thoughts around all of it. When it's just suspended for a moment, it might still be in there in the background, but when it's suspended for a moment, then you can find yourself in this space of quiet. Even when there's stuff going on, it's still there. And you don't even have to meditate or do anything to find it. It's you. It's always you. It's always been you. You are that. You are the awareness beyond the experience you have. You are the entirety of the ocean beyond the waves of your experience. And then you get less interested in the waves. You let them be there. You get less attached to what they're doing because you know they pass. And you know they're okay. And you kind of quieten down. And from this space of quiet, you can access this incredible clarity and common sense. And you know what to do. And you go back up into the waves and you manage life. But it feels different. It does feel different. Anyway. I'll leave you with it. Bye.